Yeah, thank you all for being so engaged and providing ideas and strategies and being open and being respectful and really honoring some of the themes that have been difficult and also are beloved and close to our hearts about inclusivity. Um, it feels like it's really, it's again, it's always great to see people face to face so that, you know, when you go forward, you remember that person when you're emailing and so on. I guess in terms of looking forward, we probably will be hosting another one of these in about 2 years. We hope, we're talking about the idea of having it be next to or in the same place and relatively the same time as one of these conferences of one of the minority science organizations. So it would be, you know, one of the ones that we heard about. And those are generally in the fall. We can figure out the timing. The timing of the part of the week will depend on that conference. So there are other factors that determine like the time of the semester and the time of the week. And I realize that weekdays are not as ideal for professors who are teaching, and early in the first month is not good, that kind of thing. But we'll hope to have a lot of notice so that you can plan accordingly. And we'll also look for some input on that. So just to open up the floor before we wrap up, would anybody like to talk about looking forward? I mean, we've had some great ideas of projects looking forward, looking at the overlapping of applications and how to, with Michael's project, Ichung's initiating a project. Where are you, Ichung? Are you in here? Yeah, you can see if NSF's interested in, you know, there might be some money to help you do a study like that on the impact of the mentors of our youth, for instance. I don't know, who knows? But would anybody like to just talk about, you know, where we're going or make any last comments about before we disperse into our various directions?
Is there any intended cycle of meetings for the future? I mean,
about every other year.
About every other year.
Yeah. Oh, I need somebody to come and synthesize everything beautifully. Okay, there's go for the mic.
Yeah, Val, let me just ask you if you'd be willing. In April of this past year, there was a so-called Pan-REU conference that was held. About 80 REU site directors across all the divisions and the directorates came together, met in DC for a couple of days, and had very similar conversations to this. Is your sense of what was discussed there relevant specifically for our group here? Any one or two really good nuggets that you feel like we should all know about thinking going forward?
So we were there, a few of us were there at that meeting, and in designing the agenda for this workshop, in addition to looking at the survey that you guys filled out beforehand, looking at the past agenda, I also looked at the final report and the agenda of that meeting and included some of those things into this agenda, or put higher priority on them. For example, like having breakout sessions on recruiting students and supporting students from community college students as a separate section, you know, things like that. I don't know, I'm trying to think. It was pretty clear that you know, the issues were really common across the disciplines. That was interesting to me to hear, like when the NSF officers gave talks, it really brought everybody together because we could hear that we're all having a lot of similar issues. It was also clear to me that I thought like that our division does a really nice job of the people who run these programs really, as you say, get it, you know. I mean, I sat next to a math REU PI, and at the first dinner, the question was asked at the dinner to share with your neighbors at the table, how do you welcome students to your REU? And how do you make them feel like they belong? This guy said to me, why would I want to do that? He literally did. Yeah, he said, if they're in, they're in. I'm not kidding, this is what he said. If they're in, they're in. They belong. And I said, well, have you ever felt like you joined a group or came somewhere and you didn't really know that you belonged? No. Well, I don't know, so, okay. Anyway, so we talked, and it was really interesting. It was so interesting. It was, kind of shocking and fascinating, and it was like a sociological study. But it was also really inspiring to hear, other people's ideas. You were there, right, Charles? You were, and that's right, you were doing Purple Rain there. So what about you? Did you have any nuggets you wanted that you came away with?
Well, the overriding feeling that I had at that event was that every kind of REU, every division had its own unique personality. And it was so interesting to learn different things, whether it was from math, geo, astro, social sciences. The economists had fascinating ideas, biologists, chemists, everybody seemed to have a different thing. And so if there is something to be learned in general by having all of us meet together, is not only to have the commonalities, but also to talk to other people in other divisions and learn from them their cultures and how they work. And we can learn from them certain things. In astronomy, for example, we have no common instrument of evaluation, whereas in other fields, every single REU hands out to every single one of its students a single online evaluation form. They get great data. For engineering, for example, I think was remarkable.
Yeah.
So learning across the disciplines, I think, would be valuable. If you have another institution, or if your institution has another REU from another site, another department, talk to them. We'll learn something really cool from them, whether it's something shocking or something amazing, or both.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It seemed like at that meeting they discussed a lot of the long-term tracking, which were common, the common app, and there was a third one. I'm sorry, and evaluations, right, the common assessments. And those were things that went across kind of all the disciplines. There were some great stories there too. There was one math PI that I met who was ADD, and he ran a whole program only for ADD math students. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he talked about the complications of running a program like that, and he discussed before they would do their meeting. So the meeting was at 9 o'clock. So at 8:30 he would start to send out these text messages to all of his students that it's going to be in a half an hour, and then he'd have to do another in 10 more minutes. He'd have to send out that same thing again to get them all to show up, and invariably there'd always be one that just didn't make it, just ended up off track and doing something different. But there were some
creative
really great
people
stories.
they're looking for the creativity of those people.
There were some really great stories
Yeah.
of different people and that have solved these same kind of problems, that all of us have in our programs, but in unique ways.
That guy he said he's been getting emails from 1 million parents, by the way. My son has ADD, can he come to your RU? Any other thoughts before we disperse? Yeah, Lisa, did you want to take a moment?
Val, I just wanted to thank you again for organizing a fabulous meeting. Thank you for all your hard work and your staff. So
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
My pleasure.
And I wanted to thank everyone for attending. I love the energy in this room. I hope you've all had a wonderful couple of days and that you have a good time on the field trip. I'm not going to be there, but I think Lena's going to be there. And so I hope you take the energy and the ideas and move forward for the next 2 years and really make some progress with some of the things you've talked about here today. And thank you again for attending. I know it's hard to get away, but I hope you've had a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to follow up with what Lisa said, and also something about at the meeting at the Pan RU that was noticeable, how great of a community we are. And we are a model that NSF is looking at on how to build an RU community and different models. So this is great. Thank you very much for all your work and for being willing to take risks and new models, because we can point out, oh no, we have a PI that is doing that, oh no, there is a group that is looking at that. So thank you very much for letting us be so proud of you.
Yeah. I have to agree, and I felt the same at that meeting. I felt like, well, we're kind of the best, but I don't know. I know that like bio has really, there are other groups that I'm like, oh, really? You actually have me, they do things with the community, and so it's also that I know you and I like you, and so it makes thanks. So it's a great job, right? I have this great job. So it's just really a pleasure to work with you, and I know it's a lot of thanking, but I do want to thank you for really engaging, here, and 30 people presenting and 30 new people diving in, being involved in the listserv. And the listserv has 200 people, that email listserv has 200 people on it. So who are from other, either past REUPIs or related or from other realms, maybe kind of related, overlapping realms. And so anyway, it was great to see some things pop up there last night from you guys, resources. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if you're going to say this or not, but there are opportunities for us to get together between now and 2 years from now at AGU, at Ocean Sciences, at SURF. There's almost always a session that we have. Frederica Moser and others are putting together a session for SURF. So if you're going to be going to SURF and you would like to present on URM strategies for research, please look for that abstract look for that session to put it in.
Yeah.
And often at these meetings, you can do one of these policy or education sessions and do a scientific presentation as well. So
Right.
they're
Yeah,
very
you're
good
allowed to
about
do
that.
education and take, if you want to run a session on, if you're going to, I'm not going personally to Oslo. If in the future, if you want to run a session on some aspect of this, just put one in, and we can help you with that.
I just wanted to also say we put in a proposal for another session at SURF for PIs to be able to talk about successful mentoring and successes in their RUs to hopefully pass that on to other faculty and so on. So watch for that as well. It's one of the education sessions.
Right. And at many of these meetings, we'll have an informal gathering of the REU PIs, like, let's meet to go for dinner at AG or GSA, and sometimes I organize it and sometimes other people do. And it's a really nice time to, continue this friendship and collaboration, and to have a chance to whine about how hard it was running the RU, and to have some good belly laughs and that kind of thing. So that's another piece of it. Okay, so it looks like we are right on schedule. We can break. I do want to encourage you to take a chance to look at posters some more, and enjoy your lunch. If you're going on the field trip and you want to change, do that before 1 o'clock, and the bus will be leaving at 1 o'clock for the field trip. Take all your belongings with you, because we will not be back here. And then the bus is taking us back to the hotel after that. And others you're on your own in terms of your transportation, but not totally on your own, because Melanie and Megan and Allison are there to help you. So have a great day, and thanks so much.